Tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is called the Mark Lain. Interesting little fly with the matched and married tail to it. And the wing on this calls for a cinnamon turkey feather with white tips, which I don't have, but I show you when I tie the video, I use a lighter mottled turkey feather and just pull my slips from the right area so that I end up with kind of a reddish cinnamon color and some white on the ends of it. But it's just a simple little basic wet fly. The details can be a little bit much if you aren't familiar with matched and married slips of feather, but a fun fly to tie. That's the Mark Lain, and I'll get busy tying. I'm going to start the Mark Lain with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad $33.99 in a size 6, just a standard wet fly hook. I'll debarb the hook. Because it is a yellow floss body that is on the Mark Lain, I'm going to start with a white thread. I'm using a Danville 70 denier in a white. Get a little wax on my thread. My hook somehow dropped on me. Get that positioned right. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and advance it down to just past the point of the hook so I can tie in the tip. There is a tip on this of a gold tinsel. There's different ways you can apply the tinsel on these for the tip. I'm using a Danville silver and gold mylar tinsel in a size 16 and 18. I was saying there's different ways that you can apply this. I could tie this in here and then wrap backwards and then back forward to get a double layer of tinsel on there if I wanted to, in terms of applying the tip to this. My preferred method is to, once I get to this point, simply attach that tinsel in with the silver side up. Keep wrapping down the hook shank, and I'm going to wrap down to the end of that tip. That's going to put me just a little bit past the barb of the hook, and then I'm going to wrap back up. It's usually about 6 to 7 wraps of thread. And then, since I tied that with the silver side up, it'll flip over to the gold. And then I just apply one single layer. Again, if you wanted to do a double layer, you certainly could. You could also put a little bit of flex cement or something, some sort of cement on this to help to secure that down in case it gets broken. Just want to make certain that you don't have any gaps in there. And then our tip is applied. There's a tail on the Mark Lain, and it is some matched and married red and white quills. Now, if you haven't done any of these before, they can be kind of challenging. You're going to have a left and right feather here this is Goose quill, by the way. And you're going to clip, say, depends on the hook size. I'm going to go anywhere from 2 to 3 barbs for both the red and the white. So you'll cut 2 to 3 here and 2 to 3 there. And you do the same on the red. Now, when you build this tail out, you're going to build each side separate and then match them together. So I'm going to build, you're going to grab the white first like this. Actually, I take that, yeah, you're going to grab the white first like this. And we're going to peel that white off because the red has to go on top of it. So you grab the same feather, the right or left side that you're working with, and I've already clipped, as you can see, a few barbs, 3 to 4 barbs of the red. I'm going to match those tips up like this, and pinching both of those, I'll peel the red off. Then I make certain that I have the tips even on that. My red's a little bit short, so I can peel that off, and I can then match that back up. Just wiggle them together. The barbules on there will hook into each other and marry that up. The tip on the red is a little bit frayed, so it's not coming out quite as well. Now I have a little bit more white than I do red, but I'm going to leave it for now because I'm going to get the other part of the tail together. Take the white first. Make certain I've got all of these clipped all the way through. I think I must have missed one. I'm going to take the white off of here first. Holding that white steady. Don't fiddle with it because you don't want to turn it over. Then these won't marry up correctly. Put the red right on top, getting the tips even. Peel the red off. And again, you want to make certain the tips are even. My red's a little bit longer on that one. So I peel the red off, bring it down and match that up. Then just start to wiggle them back and forth to marry that up. And then I get my tips even. Now this one, the white's a little bit thinner than the red. Now what I could do with these, a couple of things I could do. I like the red. It's pretty even on both of these. If I show you the left and the right, the reds are pretty even, but I do have a little bit more white on this than I do on that. I could take some white off the thicker one, but what I think I'm going to do is take a little bit more white off of here. Maybe a couple of barbs off of here. And match those up. I should say marry those to that other side. The trick with all of this is making certain that you keep your feathers, your right and left goose quills, keep track of them. So you're not grabbing, when you're trying to match up the ones from the left, you're not grabbing the feather from the right and trying to add in barbules, see? So that's a little bit better. And I think that matches up with the other side a little bit better. What I could do is try to take one off of each, but I'm going to go with it. It's a fairly large hook. So now I just match the tips of those so that the tips are even, and that will flare out from side to side after we get that tied in. Make certain my tips are even. I'm going to tie that in so it's about a little more than the shank. I like it from the front of the eye of the hook to the end of the shank. Secure that in. I want to make certain all of that is secured in and tied in right on top. I do have, as I mentioned, the tips on the red on that one side are frayed a little bit, but I think that will work just fine. I'm going to trim away the excess here, the length of the body. There is no rib on the Mark Lain, but the body is a yellow floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand rayon in yellow. I will use all 4 strands on this. Apply that to the hook here. pulling this floss to my left so that the ends are the length of the body. Wrapping backwards just a little bit, make certain everything is secured rearward all the way on top of that tip, and I don't end up with any exposed thread wraps. Now I'm going to wrap forward, touching turns to collect all this down. Wax on my thread to help give me a little bit better grip. I'll bring all this down to the hook shank. Give me a nice smooth underbody. Then I will apply that yellow floss. You may have noticed when I started to apply that floss, a couple of things I checked. I wanted to make certain that I didn't have any thread wraps in front of that tip right there exposed. But the other thing that I noticed is that in applying that floss, it kind of pulled the tail off and canted it just a little bit that way. So I stopped, pulled it back this way, got it nice and even. The thing is, at that time when I did that, then the tension on my floss had changed, and that's why it started to spread out on me a little bit. Just slide my fingers on that as I'm wrapping that in and stroke it so that you get all those barbs under the, or not barbs, all those fibers under the same tension, and it just straightened itself out. Now with my body in, I've got a throat and wing to tie in. I'm going to attach my finishing thread. I'm using a Danville 70 denier in black. Attach the black thread, wrapping it back over the white and the tag of black to secure it, and then I can trim away the white thread. Bring my thread back to the end of the head space, and I will tie in the throat. Mark Lain has a throat of scarlet. I'm using some red Schlappen for the throat. Already got my slips together here. I'm going to put this in so the tips are about back to the barb. I've got some extra long tips in there. A little pinch and loop underneath, and that gets the throat in. Trim away the excess. The wing on the Mark Lain is a cinnamon turkey with a white tip. I don't have any cinnamon. It has a nice white tip to it. So I'm actually using, it's a lighter mottled turkey, but I'm selecting slips where out towards the end I'm going to have a lighter tip to it. So I've got my right and left cut out here. I'll match these up. This is just a good example of sometimes you don't have to have the exact material. Sometimes what you have will work. You just have to work with it a little bit. So now, as you can see, the slip that is on my side is a little bit wider. So I will match up the bottoms of those and then reach in with my bodkin and strip out those 3 extra barbs. Now both of them are pretty even. So when this is tied in, I get that lighter cinnamon kind of color with a little bit lighter tip to it. Position that so that the tips are usually about halfway down the tail. The base, that slope right there, the base is usually going to be just the length of the bend of the hook. Pinch and loop. And actually, I was on the wrong side. Let me redo that. I came down on my side of the hook eye. When I did that. Get a few wraps in there to secure that. Make certain that it's in the right position that you want. A few more wraps, and then we can trim away the excess. Now we'll get some thread wraps on here to shape the head and cover up those butt ends. Finish this fly. Just take your time with this. You don't want to bulk it up, but you do want to get the right shape and you want to get everything covered up. I'm going to flatten my thread and then put in my whip finish. I'll put some head cement on there to soak down in and secure the head of that fly. Then I'll put 2 coats of a clear lacquer and 1 coat of a black lacquer to give it that nice high sheen, that nice glossy head that looks so nice on these little wet flies. So I've got 1 little barb right there. Again, if this were a fishing fly, I really wouldn't care. But just so that it looks nice here, nice and clean, we'll just trim that out of there. So a little bit of head cement, and like I said, then the clear lacquer and the black lacquer, and that will complete the Mark Lain. I got some head cement in the eye of the hook there, so I always keep some extra peacock curls around to run through there to clear that out. So there's the Mark Lain. A fun little fly if you like doing the matched and married wings and tails on these, and an interesting little tip on the turkey feather wing. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.